Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. Not only do they offer all kinds of fun items for your home, but so many of those items add an element of class, a touch of class to your home. For example, what about a new bar and bar stools over on one wall? A jukebox in the corner. Those are kind of cool looking. A classic arcade game or pinball game in your brand new, beautiful pool table. And very nice stuff in there at Games and Things or at ourgameroom.com where you can see more of it. But if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know if I want to put a ping pong table in here. Okay, well, they got some high-end stuff, folks. If you're looking for just a dartboard or a ping pong table, they got those too. But boy, they've got some really nice, classy poker tables and chairs, just gorgeous stuff. Games and Things, corner of Kingston Pike and Lovell Road, because life should be fun. All right, everyone knew that ESPN was going to be announcing layoffs, but this week they whacked a lot of major, long-time names. Jeff Van Gundy, who I think is fantastic on NBA coverage. Susie Colbert, been there forever. Steve Young, Todd McShay, who they've been trying to groom to be their next Mel Kiper. Max Kellerman, Keyshawn Johnson, Jalen Rose, David Pollack, on and on and on and on. ESPN and their Disney owners are both losing money hand over fist with streaming right now, as is everyone not named Netflix. We've talked about it on the show before. Streaming is a black hole, and these companies continue to throw money into it, and they continue to try and force you to watch their programs on streaming, but nobody's made money off of it. ESPN had the major layoffs. If you're wondering what the heck that has to do with Tennessee, well, my question is, if the SEC is saying, we're not going to a 9-game schedule, to the point that they made their own commissioner look like an idiot at the meetings a couple weeks ago. He said, we don't act on money. Yeah, we do. If the SEC is saying, we're not going to a 9-game schedule unless we have money, and you've partnered, put all your eggs in the ESPN basket, well, is the stake now in the heart of the 9-game schedule, in your opinion?
I don't think it's dead completely. I think it's dead for at least 1 year and probably more. If you look at it, ESPN's coming off of their largest revenue year in the history of ESPN. $8 billion in revenue they made on $4 billion of expenses. That's not bad to make $4 billion.
Nope.
The problem is Disney. People don't go to movies anymore. So you have to make up costs because of that, I think, is one side of it.
Well, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, both a whole,
yeah.
Both losing money.
The other side of it, too, I think, is when Greg Sankey just said, well, everything's not about money, I took that to mean that Greg Sankey's already tried to go to ESPN and get the money, and they said no. And so that's why he said publicly, it's not all about the money, it's about being a leader in football. I think ESPN's already told him no. Doesn't mean they won't change their mind, but I think at least for right now, the answer is
I don't think they're suddenly going to find money under their cushions if they're having to whack all these big name people. So I don't think it bodes well for the 9-game schedule if that's what you want. I do think it shows something else about the SEC, and I wonder about Sankey's leadership. Slive was outstanding, Kramer was outstanding. Maybe Sankey's going to be outstanding, but I would have probably, before adding Texas and Oklahoma, I would have probably run that by ESPN and said, what's the cost on our game? What's the bonus going to be? And what if we add a 9th game? I wouldn't be coming back after the fact. I don't think Slive would have come back after the fact and done it. I think he would have known going into it. I also would say only this. I'm very happy that SEC games are coming to ABC, Channel 6 right here, and ESPN. At the same time, this says, no, you're just talking about one company. It could be any company. If I'm the SEC, I'm wanting to diversify. You don't see the NFL put all its eggs in one network's basket. They're trying to partner with everyone. All these leagues try to do that. If you get with one network and that network has a bad quarter, well, it can trickle down to the point that your schedule is impacted and the people covering your games might not be as high quality as they would have been because they're struggling and you don't have anywhere else to go. Your thoughts?
Isn't it funny how when Oklahoma and Texas were announced coming to the SEC, everybody said ESPN made them do that. They took them in there and said, you've got to add them. Yeah. I think that is a real fear for me because I want the 9-game schedule. And I think that that's exactly right. If you don't have the money, then how do you add a 9th game? And everybody, and I've read it before, how much you get for each individual SEC game, whatever the formula is. If you don't have that money, it's not going to happen. So I think I'm with Will. I don't think it's a dagger. I think it is a bad, bad wound that you better figure out a way to heal up right quick.
Josh,
you need stitches.
You've got about 60 seconds. What are your thoughts on
Yes,
this?
6 to 12 months ago, I operated under the assumption they're going to go to 9 games. Part of that, though, was because we knew that Greg Sankey wanted it.
Yep.
but he didn't get it this year. Now, maybe when some contracts are wrapped up with some non-conference games, maybe it becomes a little easier for the SEC to do it. They don't need as much, and you can negotiate somewhere in the middle. Maybe they found some quarters and dimes to be able to, on ESPN side, to add in to what the SEC might need. Or maybe they work something out to bring in another party to make it happen. Find some other streaming service that's willing to put a bunch of money. I'm hopeful that it's 9 games in the future because I think that's best for the SEC and for fans, but I'm not as confident as I used to be.
I'll give you an example of the streaming thing very quick. I read this just, I don't know, about a month ago. Peacock last year, that's the NBC streamer, 23 million subscribers. 23 million subscribers. And they lost $750 million last year. So lost $750 million with 23 million subscribers. Nobody's figured out the streaming thing yet except Netflix, and they're not making money the way they did when they first launched. All right, when we come back, we want to talk about the all-sports race very quickly, and I want to send out a salute to a couple of Vol legends. How can you be a legend if you don't know the name? Vol legends whose names you might not know. We'll discuss that next. Come on back on the Sports Source.